Welcome everybody to another Throwback movie review. You know, I think if I only watched movies that were new releases, I would probably go insane. So much of my rewatchable go-tos are from the past, but enough about me, on with the review. Jim Henson's Jack and the Beanstalk, The Real Story, is a 2001 American television miniseries directed by Brian Henson and written by Henson, James B. Hart, and Bill Beretta, who also stars in the film as the giant Thunderdell. It was a co-production of Hallmark Entertainment and Jim Henson Television and is based on the classic English fairy tale Jack and the Beanstalk. In this, the bones of a giant are discovered, turning Jack Robinson's life upside down as he learns the truth behind the fairy tale and how he can fix his greedy ancestors' mistakes. After 17 years, this movie randomly pops into my head again, and it was enough to prompt me to track it down and watch all 3 hours of it. The question I had was, would it stack up after 17 years? And the truth is, it actually did. Now, there are certainly aspects of it, such as CGI, where you can undoubtedly tell this was a product of 2001. But for that time, the CGI was actually pretty good, and given the fantasy subject matter of the movie, you don't mind because it really adds to the fantasticalness of it all. I find this movie to be quite enchanting. I love the idea of taking a classic fairy tale and giving it a moral dilemma, and I love the idea of villains not being villains. As they say, there are 3 sides to every story, yours, theirs, and the truth, and I feel this really tackles that. It's easy for something unbelievable to become a fairy tale rather than history, and it's easy to paint oneself as the hero when you are the only one who gets to tell the story. I think it has some great ways of addressing morality. We have this amazing, beautiful, peaceful world destroyed by an outsider's greed. We have generations of a family forever cursed and punished for the crimes of their ancestor, taking the whole sins of the father thing very literal. But with any good fairy tale, it has good triumphing over evil and wrongs being righted, and us learning that you can't judge someone by the actions of another, and you certainly can't take one person's version of events as facts. I think the magical elements were inserted in a very clever and organic way. The goose that lays the golden egg is given a far more important role in the story, and alongside her is the Harp of Harmony, which I think had some of the best effects and had one of the most beautiful melodies created for it. I really enjoyed most of the performances. Matthew Modine plays the current Jack, does a great job, and you really root for his character because he is a man with a good heart who is truly trying to right not only the wrongs of his family, but the wrongs of other people. Mia Sara, who plays Ondine, I did really enjoy her character and everything she brings to the movie. A strong woman who has suffered loss in more ways than those around her, but is still capable of love and trust. I do think she takes the doughy-eyed approach far too often, and in all honesty, it's quite funny how identical her performance in this is to her performance in 1985's Legend, despite them being 16 years apart. Safe to say, fantasy is her forte. Vanessa Redgrave, who plays Countess Wilhelmina, is an integral part of the story, acting not only as narrator, which at times felt a little hit or miss, but her also being one of the biggest aspects of the story itself. The worst character in this movie, hands down, is Jon Voight's Ziggy. There is not a single moment where you are not made completely aware that he is the bad guy in this story, so the sudden reveal at the end is not that revealing. Aside from the fact it's Jon Voight playing him, and that man rarely ever plays a good guy, every aspect of Voight's performance was to play the stereotypical villain in an over-the-top way. Even the accent was a giveaway. The performance of this character was truly awful and had me cringing every time he was on the screen. The villain could have been played as far more menacing rather than being played as a caricature. Our Land of the Giants has some wonderful twists aside from consisting of an array of well-known actors such as Richard Attenborough, Daryl Hannah, and Jim Carter. It also models its giant characters as ancient gods from mythology around the world, meaning the story suggests once again what we think are just fables and myths are actually based on fact, that these people do exist and had visited our world, and due to their size and the fact they came from a land in the clouds, they were declared gods, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it, but mostly it's just a great twist on the story and is a nice way of uniting a lot of different cultures. It was truly surprising to see the actors who appear in this before they were famous. Tom Ellis, who is now famous for playing Lucifer on the hit television series Lucifer, appears in this in one of his earlier roles as a town bully, and with that wig, I almost didn't recognize him. This movie also features James Corden during the early days of his career and at the ripe young age of 23, before he was appearing in bigger films or making carpool karaoke happen. He was playing the young giant Bran. In all honesty, I really enjoyed him in this. It was nice to see him playing a soft, tender role instead of the over-the-top comedy we've become used to. I wish he'd start playing characters with these kinds of traits again. They suit him rather well. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, or miniseries, whichever you wish to call it. I'm glad it randomly popped in my head and I got to watch it again because it was very delightful and, as I said earlier, enchanting. I love these kinds of movies, and for me, 17 years has not changed how it made me feel. Frankly, I could use more works like this in my life. Thank you for clicking on this video and watching this review. Let me know if you've seen this piece of work, and if you're not already, then please subscribe and like this video. Until next time, which will probably be tomorrow, bye.